California's long-running war on success could force a wave of newly minted millionaires out of the state. Some of America's biggest private companies are going public, making many of California's tech workers rich overnight. But experts say they're moving to Florida.
The California area codes have already started showing up. It's just that the conversations are evolving.
They're making tens of millions overnight. And I think that's going to have them thinking long and hard about South Florida and Miami in particular. What we're seeing here is a shock in a positive way to the financial balance sheets of individuals, particularly out in California, where I think they're going to be moving in a matter of months and not years or decades.
Florida has become a magnet for money, offering no state income tax and a growing financial ecosystem that's attracting high earners from blue states like California. Steve, this is no shock to any of us, but I think what is interesting to me is those people down in Florida who, and maybe some of that's self-serving because a real estate agent in South Florida would say, yes, it's happening, of course, but a matter of months and not years. And I'm wondering if you think that this trend is even accelerating after what already felt like lightning speed after COVID.
Well, it's amazing. Once you have something in hand, rather than the prospect of something, then the mind really gets going, and then you start really working hard. And Miami, whatever the virtues of Silicon Valley, it's not as exciting as Miami. So you have that addition as well. Some good vibes in the atmosphere there. And so, and this gets to the virtue of the American political federal system, is that each state can pursue its own policies, and we can see what works and what doesn't work. And even Governor Newsom is sort of wondering, how do I sidetrack this terrible referendum they're having on a tax on wealth?
Yep.
He's trying to find a way around that, unfortunately, by paying off the unions. But what else is new in California?
Yep.
And one other advantage Florida has, and Texas, some other states have versus California, is actually you can get something done in less than a lifetime. A project doesn't have 5-10 years wait. And so, why wouldn't you move there? And yes, prices are going up and all that, but compared to California, you'll put up with the weather. Prices are up, but incomes are up more after taxes. Jackie, we didn't get to do SpaceX last block, so I'll hint a little bit about it, and I'll say not a catalyst for the stock, but then we'll tie it into people and why they're moving. So in late July, another 20% of the lockup expires if you're an employee at SpaceX. An additional 10% unlock if the stock stays at 175 or higher in 5 out of 10 consecutive days before the second quarter earnings call in August. And then in September, an additional 7% employee tranche unlocks. And then in December, the final employee lockup expires as well. So not to say that if I'm an employee and my lockup expires, I'll immediately move. But to me, those are sort of catalysts for the stock, but then also employees who then have the ability to sell. It's not just paper money. It could be real money if they sell. And then how do they start to think about capital gains tax if they got in at those shares hundreds of dollars ago?
Well, there's a lot of ifs there, so I'm not going to go down that road except to say that if people sell and they lock in gains, they're going to want to leave, and that makes financial sense. But we were talking about New York City earlier, and we were kind of kicking around this idea with Charlie of burn it down. Okay, let Mamdani, let Newsom, let all these people do this, and we'll just burn down these cities and states. But what really happens when you burn it down? Because if you look at Chicago, it's been burning for a while. It's not like all of a sudden these politicians turn around and say, oh my God, okay, we've seen the light. Now it's time to let everybody back and rebuild business and fix what's wrong here. They just keep going down that road and hurting the people who don't have the mobility power to be able to leave and go somewhere else. And so I think there's a real consequence to say, let's just allow this stuff to happen and we can burn it down, as opposed to we have to fight this, because once it's done, reversing it actually is going to be harder than trying to fight the fight, I think.
You guys weigh in. What are your thoughts?
He was making faces.
I always make.
Well,
we're
he
not on the
loves
same page.
federalism.
No,
He makes dad faces of like, oh, that's very interesting.
active. Yeah, that's right. That's what they are. They're active listening.
Yes, he's an active listener.
I like to actively listen. This is great. You make a lot of money. You leave a state that wants to take it all. Makes total sense to me. I will say again, if I'm Florida and I'm getting an influx of people who live their whole life in blue California, and that's the way they think, that's their sensibility. I do not want these folks to show up at my front door and turn Florida into California, or Texas into California. They leave because they don't want to lose their money, but have they had a revolution in their own thinking about political philosophy and what a state ought to do? I don't think they have.
Well, that's where political leadership comes in. I don't know what Texas has done lately, but several years ago, they started to see their cities go blue.
Yes.
And then thought, oh my God, what's going to happen? And they started to do counteractions, started to take and make the case for the opposite side, the good side, the principled side, prosperity side.
Yeah.
And
I hope they're still doing it. I don't know.
Texas is still red. We've got a dicey Senate race, but that's because of a candidate, not because of a change.
That guy's not blue. That guy is like the deep. I don't know what the deepest blue is you can have, but that guy's one shade beyond that.
But
I don't think he knows what he is.
But in terms of these states, you got to go out and convince the voters. You're here. Now we're going to remind you why you're here. And I wish the White House, I sound like a broken record, but hey, in terms of taxes, why the White House doesn't come out and say we're going to index capital gains, especially for housing, which they can do by decree, executive order, Treasury Department. Why they don't put a reconciliation bill, which sounds like a marriage bill, but of cutting tax rates again, and say, look what we did in tips, look what we did in overtime, bring these people out, like Jason Smith, the head of the Ways and Means Committee, a waitress, mother of 3, single mother, rent paid for the next year thanks to the savings on that tax bill, say, here's what we've already done, and we've got more like those nighttime ads, more to come.
Well, you're going to have to convince Dagan on that one.
No, the indexing,
growth cures all.
But the indexing of capital gains.
I'm with you, but you got to convince her.
To inflation, then every asset would, I would expect every asset deserves the same tax treatment. Then.
Sure.
But
it's a start. I would do it for all capital gains indexing. And the nice thing about that is you get more mobility. You get more mobility. And the other thing, by the way,
Steve, we're running that's fine, but quite frankly, I'm not we need the revenue person, but we need the revenue because these jackasses don't cut anything. And we're paying $6 billion a month in interest on the current debt. We're running it's probably going to be a $2 trillion budget deficit this year. Again, they want to spend more money on military. They want to, they've got all their pet projects that they want to spend money on. So, there are a lot of things that we could do to improve the quality of life, improve housing, improve the business environment, but we struggle in terms of the fiscal soundness of it because they won't cut. They won't even fix what's broken, like Social Security and Medicare. I just want to say nobody has to sell any stock because I'll be your banker and lend against the asset.
Bingo.
Right? You want a down payment for a house in Florida?
Just give me
You don't
collateral.
have to. Yeah. What? Let me see your brokerage statement.
By the way,
you don't need to sell anything.
SpaceX bounced off very nicely. It hit that $2 trillion valuation dip below, and it bounces up. It's now up 6% on the day. They tried to sell $20 billion in bonds, and they got orders for $90 billion. That is the insatiable demand for today.
Well.
So are you
Maybe
Elon
go
Musk?
buy U.S. government the
So
way they're
Elon
buying
Musk
SpaceX.
Well,
and say SpaceX,
Yeah.
not Oracle.
Coming up.
But in terms of the way you would deal with these things, what you don't do is what Britain and other countries have done: keep raising taxes, which gets you less.
I didn't
growth
say that.
and a bigger hole. And by reducing tax rates, you get more economic activity, more creativity. Do things on capital gains, you get more mobility. Going to great new things in the future.
Amen.
And in terms of Social Security, what's their growth rate assumptions? They assume what, 1.8, 2%? You get historic 3.5. So there are a lot of positive things that can be done, like on Social Security. We have the wealth to start allowing younger people to put part of that money into their own personal retirement accounts, which turns a capital killer into a capital creator. Wonderful
Are you
things
running
like
for
that.
president again?
Trump accounts.
I tried it,
We're
but
gonna
it
leave
didn't
it
work,
there.
which is why I'm here instead of my library.
We love it.